Welcome everyone back to Weekly Weather Updates, and we've got a very packed video for you this evening. Firstly, we're going to have a look at the latest on Hurricane Elsa, which is tracking through the Caribbean and could be impacting Florida and parts of America within the next sort of 5 days. Then we'll have a look at the UK thunderstorms, where we could be seeing some quite intense conditions over the next few days, with the potential for multi-cell storms in some points with quite intense capes. So we'll have a look at some cape charts, convergence zones, and then we'll have a look at precipitation and weather warnings that have been issued by the Met Office. Do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure to like and subscribe. Do remember to follow me on Twitter as well, links in the description. So we were looking at this in yesterday's video. We're having a look at the 5-day outlook, and there was a 90, I think it was an 80 or 90% chance of this system that was out in the Atlantic developing into a tropical storm. And it has, overnight, just after my video yesterday, it upgraded to Tropical Storm Elsa, and throughout today it is now Hurricane Elsa. It's got 85 mile an hour winds, so it's comfortably a Category 1 hurricane. And give it 10 mile an hour more winds, and it could be Category 2. So it could be intensifying soon, and we could be potentially getting up to maybe Cat 2, Cat 3 hurricane. Not forecast to become major at this stage, but again, it's still subject to quite a lot of uncertainty. It's moving at 29 miles an hour west-northwest, so towards the bigger and larger Caribbean islands quite quickly, so it's moving very quickly. So we do have a look at it at the moment. If we do go to its track, you can see at the moment it's got quite large tropical storm winds and very small core of hurricane force winds. Now, it has passed over Barbados today, where we have seen tropical storm warnings. That was, well, with their radar there in Barbados and more observation, that's when it got upgraded to a hurricane, as above 75 mile an hour winds were observed. It's going to be moving as a hurricane through past Dominican Republic, through Haiti with hurricane warnings in force, then impacting Jamaica before heading up towards Cuba, and then potentially up towards Florida by early to middle of next week. Now, at this stage, in the reliable time frame, the next 3 or 4 days, it's looking like it's going to be a hurricane. But because of its track going over quite a large landmass with Cuba, it could be downgraded to a tropical storm as it loses its energy from the ocean. But if it does take a direct track, moves you quite quickly, it could be downgraded slightly before strengthening again towards Florida. Again, it is in the longer term, so we'll have to keep an eye on how this does develop. At this stage, it does look like there could be some very intense conditions for these parts in the Caribbean. Now, it is quite an early storm. I think it's the earliest E-named storm, so the 5th named storm. And it could be setting the scenes for an above average, again, hurricane season. I doubt it's going to be as many hurricanes and tropical storms as last season, but we could again see an above average season with warmer than average sea surface temperatures. So could be a lot of disruption on the way for these areas over the next few months. If we do have a look at wind speed probabilities at the moment, there's a 90% chance of tropical storm force winds in its current track, and then you can see the uncertainty increases quite significantly. Perhaps 20-30% at the stage in Florida, and then around 5-10-20% for Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. So it does look like it's going to be taking a track through Florida. We'll just have to keep an eye on how this does develop. With the situation with the building collapse in Miami, this could be contributing to not helping the aid efforts there. So unfortunately, it does look like this could be sweeping through Florida through the early next week. Again, it can change. It could head more through the Gulf, or it could pull out into the Atlantic. So we'll have to just keep an eye on its track over the next few days. We'll have a lot more details over the next few days on how it could impact larger landmass areas like Cuba and America. If we now have a look briefly at the GFS ensembles, we won't have a look at the latest GFS run, simply because I don't want to make this video too long. Just give the general overview of the next few weeks. Temperatures are going to be around average. We've seen hints in the longer term, the potential for a bit of a heat wave potentially in the middle third of July. There are many ensemble members going for above average conditions, but at the same time there are some cooler ensemble members as well. So we can't really pinpoint any exact details for that, but there's still the potential for a warmer third in the middle of July, as low pressure does look like it's going to be sitting out just to our southwest, bringing up southerly winds. In the short term, though, temperature is going to be around average, but generally quite hot and humid air with a lot of sort of cape around, low pressure above. So we're going to see a lot of rain bands heading through tonight, and then thunderstorms following it tomorrow and Sunday as well. We could see quite intense thunderstorms, and we'll look at that in a minute. So it does look like many areas are going to see quite a bit of rain over the next few days. Some areas could see as much as 100 millimetres over the next sort of 48 to 72 hours as a result of thunderstorm bands, convergence zones. So could be quite significant conditions with surface water flooding, especially in areas in the south where we've seen a lot of rain recently. That's where we could be seeing some of the issues. But at this stage, it does look like potentially the southeast will not be the most impacted by these storms, as the Cape does look a little bit further northwards. So if we first have a look at the Cape on the WRF model for the UK, you can see there's not too much at the moment. There are a few thunderstorms breaking out in northern England, just isolated thunderstorms, and there have been not too many lightning strikes. I don't think there have been many, but quite heavy cells with some very heavy rain, just in some localised areas. But it's really tomorrow where we're going to be seeing the potential for some quite significant outbreaks. You see Cape's quite low. A rain band heads over tonight through early hours of the morning, and it slowly clears, and then Cape really builds up throughout the afternoon. And you can see the most significant Cape is in sort of East Anglia and Northern England. That's where we can see multi-cell storms. Elsewhere, still the potential for pulse storms, where we see storms pop up in and out of existence, so we could be seeing some very heavy localised rain. With multi-cell storms, it's more likely to band together, so we just have to keep an eye on that and look at the radar. But we'll also have a look at the precipitation charts, which should give us more of an indication of that. But as I said, along the south coast and the southeast, doesn't look like too much Cape. That's where we've seen the heaviest rain so far over the last few weeks. So it does look like they may get a bit of a respite. Probably still will see some rain, but perhaps not the heaviest of rain. So that's where we could be seeing some very significant storms where we've got that significant Cape throughout tomorrow afternoon. Slowly does degrade overnight. Before again we'll be picking up through through Sunday afternoon. Not quite as significant as Saturday, so more likely just scattered pulse storms, and not really conductive for multi-cell storms, but still quite significant. Sort of in the Midlands, Northern England, East England, and parts of Scotland as well could be seeing the most significant storms. Through Sunday, before Monday, it does look like it's going to be turning a little bit drier, with a ridge of high pressure potentially building in briefly. If we do have a look at the average wind, because I just want to show you this smaller feature we could be seeing tomorrow. If we do go to sort of middle of Saturday afternoon, you can see these converging wind directions coming up from the south and then coming in from the west, just towards sort of the Bristol area, northern tip of the southwest of England. This is where the Met Office has highlighted a convergence zone. Now, it doesn't look too great on this map, but that's where they're looking at a convergence zone. That's where there's actually a yellow warning for rain out. As you saw in the last image, there wasn't that much Cape, so especially in the southwest. So it doesn't look like it's going to be massive thunderstorms, but with quite heavy rain from the convergence zone, stationary rain moving along that line. Could see 30, 40, 50 millimetres of rain potentially tomorrow, so you have to keep an eye on that. You can also see other convergence zones. This is where we could be seeing multi-celled storms form within the Cape. And that's why eastern England, potentially into northern England, could see some very big storms tomorrow with these convergence zones. Again, these are predictions. They're not guaranteed convergence zones, so we'll just have to keep an eye on how this does develop tomorrow. We'll have a very clear picture, probably by around 2 or 3 p.m, where we're going to be seeing the biggest storms. So just need to keep an eye on that tomorrow, but could be some quite significant conditions in place. If we now have a look at the icon run for precipitation, see a band of rain moves through today, generally light, moves through sort of this afternoon and tomorrow morning, and then heavy thunderstorms break out through the afternoon. You can see the potential for multi-celled storms in East Anglia, and then you can see that convergence zone in southwestern areas and general other areas of significant thunderstorms. Now, the icon probably is overdoing it in size, but intensity, it'll be getting those thunderstorm cells quite well. Then through Sunday, another batch of thunderstorms could be heading up from the south. widely thunderstorms spreading across most of the country. Again, not all will be thunderstorms, but there will be a lot of heavy showers, and I would suspect there could be some very active cells out there. Before Wednesday turns a little bit drier in the south. Before Tuesday, another wet and probably quite windy day with a sort of daughter low moving in from the south, and we'll have a look at that nearer the time, probably in tomorrow or Sunday's video, as that does look quite significant, with some heavy rain potentially with that. If we do have a look at the arpeggion, we'll quickly run through this. Again, light rain overnight tonight into tomorrow morning. Still some heavy rain around. Then we have thunderstorms breaking out quite widely. You can see that convergence zone in the southwestern areas, potentially multi-celled storms in the Midlands and East Anglia throughout tomorrow afternoon into evening. Before things turn a little bit drier before more thunderstorms break out through Sunday. Very intense, really widespread across the UK. No real area at this stage looking particularly favoured to the storms, but generally probably Midlands, East Anglia and Northern England looks reasonably encouraging for storms, and plus for Northern Scotland as well. And then through Monday, a brief ridge of high pressure, a bit drier in the south with one more rain band spread through tomorrow in Monday afternoon. So a bit earlier than the Icon Run. Icon Run had that more in the evening, and then that sort of daughter low moves through. Could be some gusty winds and some heavy rain, and maybe even some thunderstorms towards the centre of that low as well. If we finally have a look at the UK Met Office run. So again, a few thunderstorms and heavy showers in the north today. Some light rain spreads through tonight, maybe some heavier pulses within that, and then heavy thunderstorms do start to break out tomorrow afternoon. Could be seeing some multi-celled storms in East Anglia, Northern England, then we see that convergence zone in the southwestern areas. So quite scattered thunderstorms. Some areas will miss out, some areas will get quite hit quite severely, and then those eventually do dissipate overnight before more storms break out through Sunday. Scattering of thunderstorms. Sunday does look like a lot of single-celled storms out there, which could provide some very significant conditions as they sort of move through, and then you get maybe half an hour of dry conditions before another storm moves through. So Sunday's not looking too encouraging for many areas, especially in Midlands northwards, for being a particularly dry day. Eventually those storms do start to decay, could sort of band together in the southeast, maybe a multi-celled storms forming there, before eventually all clears away, and then maybe another scattering of showers, but not quite as widespread on Monday. With that brief ridge through Monday afternoon, quite dry conditions in the south before heavy rain spreads through overnight into Tuesday. So the UK Met Office run a little bit later than the arpeggion, more in line with the Icon, but we'll have a look at that probably near the time, and then again Tuesday into Wednesday, more storms probably breaking out in the south and southeast. But we'll have a look at that near the time, as it's a bit too far out to make any sort of forecast for that. If we finally have a look at the UK Met Office warnings. Now we have a yellow warning out for that convergence zone. Tomorrow into 9 p.m. tomorrow, heavy, perhaps thundery downpours maybe become concentrated in narrow corridor of persistent heavy rain on Saturday afternoon because of the convergence zone. Where this occurs, 20 to 30 millimetres of rain may fall in an hour, with 40 to 50 millimetres of rain in 3 or 4 hours, and a small chance of up to 80 millimetres. This brings a risk of localised flooding and disruption, while locations either side of this rain band may be seeing little rain at all. So exactly where that convergence zone sets up, 20 miles to the south or 20 miles to the north, we'll see very little rain, as all the energy is focused in those storms along that convergence line. But if you're in that convergence line, could be getting all day pretty much, or all afternoon, heavy rain, and that's where we can see very localised conditions where we see a lot of rain falling across that afternoon. So you have to keep an eye on that on the radar, and I'll be updating that on my Twitter as well, so make sure you stay up to date with that. If we also have a look at yellow warning for thunderstorms, you can see this is where we have the most cape in northern England, central England, into East Anglia as well. An area of heavy rain and some thunderstorms expecting to develop on Saturday morning over southern England, then move northeastwards before clearing to the North Sea Saturday afternoon. Many places will see a short period of heavy rain, while some will see more prolonged period of rain, along with some intense bursts with lightning and hail. So as we saw, that sort of light rain and heavy rain band moves through tonight. It depends how heavy it is, because it does get, especially further north and eastwards, it may get mixed up with that cape and some conductive and some convection. And that's where it could intensify. So I expect further south from the west was a bit lighter overnight tonight. But once it does clear, further heavy showers are expected to break out. These will be more hit and miss, with many sites staying dry following the early rain. But where they do occur, there's a chance of 30 to 35 millimetres falling in an hour, maybe lightning again and hail. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Very high impact, but unlikely, simply because it's going to be difficult to tell exactly where that heavy rain does pep up, and where we do see those thunderstorms behind. So we'll just have to keep an eye on the radar tomorrow. That's really what we've got to have to do. So make sure you follow me on Twitter as well. I'll be updating that tomorrow morning and tomorrow afternoon, looking at those storms. So anyway, it does look like some intense condition over the next few days. If you do have anything planned, make sure you do stay up to date with the Met Office warnings and stay up to date with any radar. Make sure you check every hour or so, having a look how any thunderstorms are sort of developing, where they're developing, and how they're moving, as it could be some quite dangerous conditions out with lightning, heavy rain, and hail. So do keep an eye out for that. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.